Hello everyone, Strikoder here and welcome back to a new episode of the OSCP journey. In today's episode we're gonna solve a medium Windows machine which called StreamIO. In today's machine we're gonna enumerate, then we're gonna have a website interface that is being vulnerable to a SQL injection. We're gonna have Creds which lead to an RCE, then lateral movement, and we're gonna have eventually domain escalation. In today's video as well, I'm going to use Notion for note taking to make the video more clear in order to explain what ports we have, the ideal way of the methodology on how to solve this machine. So feel free to use any note taking app that you usually use, and let me copy the IB and get started. So first of all, I'm gonna connect to HackTheBox. If you are new to my series, I have my HackTheBox command is just using sudo openvpn under the hood. So next, I'm gonna export. So either you can add the IB, which I used to do in my old videos, add host, then over here I'm gonna type the IP and then the DC name. Currently, I have new methodology, which I learned, shout out to Siren from the offensive security team. I usually did add host and currently I'm doing export. However, I implemented my own method, which is export all. I'm gonna show you in a moment. So export all IB is gonna be this. And when you move across other Tmax panels, as you see here, export IB, export IB. So whenever I type export all, I have export on all panels of Tmax. So thus I don't need to declare that every time. And then I had my few enumeration scripts. So one of them is dig DNS enum. And over here, I need to provide the IB and the domain. So first of all, let me start with Nmap. I like to start with Nmap over here. And the $IB sign, which means our IB. So we have a little bit time till Nmap finishes. So echo IB. Over here, we have the IB echo, for instance, domain. So here I have other domain of a different HackTheBox machine. We can do export domain or export all to export that domain to all instances of Tmax panes. I'm gonna pause the video a little bit, then I'm going back after Nmap results are ready. Okay, so while we are waiting for the Nmap, I would like to add as well, here is my GitHub. I'm gonna show the scripts that I'm gonna use in a while. So the no authentication SMB, which under the hood uses NMB lookup and SMB client for listing shares, as well as RPC client for some domain enumeration, as well for the enum for Linux next generation. You can use the old version, but I always prefer the next generation, enum for Linux next generation, Windows exploit suggestion next generation, NXC, and so on, SMB map, and the dialects over here. And here, through the SMB client, I'm trying to download everything. You can find the script over my GitHub, Strikoder. The link would be in the comment, and OSCP scripts. So right now I currently have only no authentication SMAP and DNS enumeration. Over here we are using under the hood dig command, and to take the banner SOA and NS. And over here, sometimes in few boxes, I believe legacy boxes, you would have some issues when you try to dig for any. Thus, I over here have A, 4 A's, CNAME, MX, TXT through dig as well. And yeah, zone transfer reverse lookup. I believe I haven't done any box using talking about or mentioning zone transfer, but you can look up on the internet, which is really efficient in IRL scenarios. And here optional subdomain brute force if we want to provide a brute list, a word list, and the summary. So this is the code. Feel free to use it, to edit it, and let me get over here. So the nmap command is ready, as I've mentioned. So I'm following a new methodology with my videos. I'm gonna use this. Type in the comment if you want a link for this template. And over here, I'm gonna save nmap in order to get back to it if we wanted that later. So let me go through the ports. We have 53 DNS. So, oops. So while we are looking into the port, I would like to run DNS enum. So we don't have domain yet. Let me check the name of our domain. It would be, well, it should be over here. Yep. So the stream, uh, oops, the StreamIO.HackTheBox. There is another one, watch.streamio.hackthebox. I'm gonna try with the usual one. So over here, IP, domain, let me define domain here. So I'm gonna say export all, domain equal streamio.hackthebox. You can type all small letters, that's not a huge deal. So here it's running for domain IO. Let me just get back DNS enum. I want to run it like this. It had an error, DNS domain enum without export please. And let's get back to our node. So over here we have port 53, which is a simple DNS. 80 we have a website interface. 88 we have Kerberos. If we want to authenticate, we can use that if we want to search for users. 35, 39, 445 are the SMB. And over here we have 443, which is a rare case to see in HackTheBox boxes. It's our first time, I believe, an HTTPS. So here we have two websites. So I'm gonna type here 80 443 stream.hackthebox.io stream.watch, I believe, .streamio.hackthebox, and here streamio.hackthebox. So we can try and search over here for a vhost, but I don't believe that's our way in yet. We're gonna discover that together. And next we have LDAPS 5985, which is WinRM. So usually Nmap is not able to get the header. If Nmap wasn't able to get the header, you can use curl-I, I believe, and the other MSRPC ports. Oops. So let's get back over here. So I'm checking. I don't believe we have anything interesting here. So here we have timed out, timed out, timed out. Let me bing the IB. So I believe we don't have anything interesting, but I'm interested. Why do we have a timeout? I don't believe. Let me type here any, and over here domain. So is it authenticating? So it's trying time lapse, which is another lab, which is not what I wanted. Domain equal. I should have done this, and then the DNS enum. Okay, now we have some visual answers. DC hostmaster, a default value, we are not interested. So let me type over here, add host, IB DC. Instead of time-lapse, I would type DC dot, the add host command as well is on GitHub. Be sure to watch that as well. But under the hood, I'm just adding stuff into my etc hosts. So StreamIO.HackTheBox and StreamIO.HackTheBox. And I will add watch.streamio.hackthebox. So here, as you can see, all of them. Let me check. Tail, etc hosts, and you can see over here the 3 IPs. Let me get back to here. Is anything interesting more? Well, I believe there is not. As always, let me run Firefox, and I always like to accompany it with Burp Suite. Accompany it with Burp Suite. They are best friends, you know. And well, I'm not going to intercept yet. And over here, I'm gonna type StreamIO. So it's looking for the HTTPS. Well, StreamIO, I mean StreamIO.HackTheBox. Yeah, that's what should we be getting. Accept the risk. So it's trying the HTTPS, which I believe it is watch.streamio. Oops, I closed the page. So yeah, we have two websites, HTTP streamio.hackthebox and watch.streamio.hackthebox. Let me go into here and start giving that to Burp Suite. Let me try over here HTTPS, couldn't connect. I don't really want BloodHound. So let me exit Firefox and open the browser over here. Somehow it wants to open the BloodHound. HTTP streamio.hackthebox. Well, something is not right. Oops. I was going to type echo domain. streamio.hackthebox and over here HTTP. And let me copy over here HTTPS watch.streamio.hackthebox. So I don't know why that's no route to host. Well, let me get back to Firefox then. Again, streamio.hackthebox. And it's opening BloodHound. I don't need BloodHound for now. Let me try BloodHound CLI down. Okay, let me try to turn off burp. So I don't need the UI, please. It's insisting to use the UI. And let me try the HTTPS watch.streamio.hackthebox. Yes, please. Accept the risk. And here we have our StreamIO. So here we have HackTheBox. I need to open that website, but I don't really know what is happening. Well, let me use the IB then. HTTP. Well, we have a usual server, and over here we have the StreamIO. While we are checking the website, I would like to run fuff. The command over here, IB, for the first website, HTTP. We are fuzzing through the raft large directories. So we see an ASP client, which is our case over here. And let's check our StreamIO. Can we use that with burp now? Hopefully. So something tricky is going over here when we are using burp. Let me take that down, maybe because I had my bloodhound and burp and bloodhound are working on the same port, thus there was an issue, but maybe currently I will be forwarding that to burp hopefully. So hopefully by now burp. Okay, I'm going to close everything for the last time. So it's okay, we are not wasting our time. I prefer to have these issues now rather than on any exam like the OSCP. So LHTTP StreamIO.hackTheBox. I don't want to intercept that. No root to host. Okay. I believe. Let me check etc hosts and delete if we have anything related to StreamIO. So I'm gonna delete this. And hopefully we might get that running by now. Still not. Okay. So I restarted the machine. Let me try now. We have burp running. StreamIO.hackTheBox. Okay. And now maybe something related to the certificate. Watch.streamio.hackthebox. Nah. Okay. So probably the issue was that however I turned the Bloodhound down, I turned that off, but still the port is not available free for burp, so I could either play with the settings, which I didn't because I have Zap on another port, and I had many stuff on different ports, SQL and so on, not on the default port, so I don't want to mess everything up. So I just restarted my machine, and let me check. We are connected to the machine. So we had enumeration and nothing was there. So I tried that with the HTTP, the usual IP. Let me check with the HTTPS with the watch.streamio.hackthebox and check if we might find something. Until then, let me mess over here. So whenever I see something like this, I try to insert this and check what input can I have. Is this an XSS, an SQL injection, command injection, or maybe just template injection? So you have a lot of stuff to try. So abc@gmail.com and check if we send that to backend or not. So it's a post request, and I always like to send through the repeater. Nothing. So I try to send more as once, and do we get another one that, okay, we received your email, use another one. I try as well to change the request method and check. Maybe let's try options. If we have put, for instance, and I don't think we have anything interesting over here. Let me check here. Still nothing interesting. No, I don't need to pause. So I'm gonna wait a little bit. So still nothing over here. Let me try other discovery. Oops. I like always the medium one. We see static. I'm gonna pause a little bit. I'm gonna unpause and gonna use fuff over here. So, oops. So over here we have used fuff with the watch. I'm gonna use it without the watch. StreamIO.hackTheBox. And let me try. Oops. It was at the web content, I believe. Yes. And then the medium one. So I'm gonna say dictionary medium. And gonna run that and pause. Okay, so by now, as we can see, we are almost half of the directories, which by experience, most of the time means that we don't have any other directories to discover. Let's get back to here. And we haven't discovered anything. So most of the directories start with admin or page or login. So we haven't discovered anything yet. So I believe we won't discover anything. However, on exams or in IRL scenarios, I prefer always to finish all the directories available in the word list. Let me get back over here. So this is the website, and here we see IIS. However, if we can remember before restarting, we had other website on the HTTPS on the StreamIO, which is this website. So when we used FUF, we need to be very accurate. And over here we have mentioned that we are fuffing or fuzzing the HTTP. So let us fuzz the HTTPS, not the HTTP, which is this website. So we can see immediately admin and images. Since it's a Windows website, there are capital and smalls are identical, so we can make it on. I don't believe we have directory list only small, do we? So lowercase, yep. So I'm gonna use the lowercase one since they are identical. So we have an admin page. Let me get that and put over here an admin. So I'm gonna get that, move that into here. So here our Nmap, directory enumeration. I believe there won't be any DNS or vhost for now. And here all the directories that I would usually use. So raft, there is raft for files. We can use that a little bit later. And I'm going to make a new field over here and put a divider between them. So this for StreamIO.HackTheBox and over here for StreamIO.HackTheBox. And don't forget the watch over here. So over here I'm gonna type dirs and files. We can, I believe, separate them by this she or hashtag. So we have admin, CSS, JS fonts. They are most of the time useless. So over here I'm gonna type admin and let me check admin. So admin is forbidden for now. And let me make other fuff. But instead on the watch, I'm gonna keep it on the same one. And over here, I'm gonna use the raft files lowercase. But I think we can use the medium one. And I'm gonna use, or I don't need to use anything else. So here we have about, login, logout, register. So I'm gonna wait a little bit, or let me copy them by now. So index, you can use that as directory or no, forget what I want to say. But yeah, index.php, so we can see that it's a PHP website. However, it's a Windows host. So if you want to reduce the time used on searching, you can add an extension over here by adding an e flag PHP. So you can append the PHP to all the files over here or the pages. However, I'm gonna keep this running, and this by now has been finished. So that's what all we have. So now let's try the functionality. I'm gonna let me go to target. I don't need the Discord over here. I'm gonna delete all of those. These three are in the scope. And let me try to contact them. I like over here to use abc@gmail.com. So we can see the post request. Let me send it. Okay. So we go to the HTTP history. Can we see the post that we sent? We don't. Let me send that again. Oops. I like always to check stuff with repeater. Control space to send that by shortcut. And I like to send it again. Oops. So what was the message? Successfully. So it was again successfully sent. Let me try that by a get method. So whenever I see such a get method, it's getting sus. So now we cannot send by get, which is logically correct. Whenever I see such a get, I would try every parameter of those with either LFI. So you might ask how to try LFI by by burp, which I don't use burp. I don't use the default burp intruder. I use the turbo intruder. You use this. Oops, I forgot to copy that. You copy this, and where you have, for instance, the first one, you can try and delete all the others or leave them, and each time try to substitute by %s. And over here, I'm gonna use the mode number 1 for the word list and try to attack. And over here we can see that we are checking for an LFI. All of them are returning as a battery. No, we have some OKs over here. Let's check. So I believe OK is just that the page has been rendered successfully, but still nothing. So I've tried that. I spent a lot of time. However, in order for the video not to get too much longer, all of these are dead ends. So our game is going to be in the StreamIO. Let me get back. So here we have a login page. We have username and password. They are not vulnerable to SQL injection. However, if we get back to here, we see the admin page. So we have admin, we have login. And here, I don't believe I've done FUF over here, but if we do, we see blocked and we see search. So let me copy that. So usually, as I've told you, you would keep those running till the last moment, but we are interested in the search.php. So blocked, oops, block.php probably, as usual, is gonna block you for 5 minutes. However, that function is not functioning in this machine, thankfully. And we have search.php, where we are interested. So each time we see such a thing, it's getting reflected back to us. Here is not getting reflected back to us. We are searching something. So since we press search, then we are getting from the back end the results, and we are communicating with the back end, which means two stuff. One, that we are using SQL under the hood or something related to databases, and two, that we need to inject into the database. So how can we do that? First of all, I like to search for a film and go by that. So let's search if we have Toy Story 3. Yes, we have. So I like to type over here toy and search for that. Let me send that to repeater. I'm gonna close those because they are dead end. And here we have toy. Let's send toy. And over here, I'm gonna search for toy. So if we send this, nothing is here. So let's try toy. order by 1 blocked. So order is being blocked and discovered as a SQL injection. Maybe union. Let's try sleep. So union and sleep are not discovered. However, sleep, I don't believe that's our way in over here. So let's stick to union. Union, select. So usually, let's copy that and go over here. So this is the endpoint that we are working on, SQL injection. So our SQL query, how would it be? So probably select, oops, let me get back to there. So probably it's going to be select and then for instance, either name or everything, then they are just showing us the name from, maybe the table would be movies or movies usually, where name, so probably it's gonna be like, and over here something. However, in the SQL you would add %, and then, so if you had oi, you would see results for Toy Story. If you had 2, you would see results for Toy Story as well. So, and most of the time you would finish them by this, since we have a Windows IIS, which probably is going to be accompanied by Microsoft SQL. So this is our query for now. So we need to end our query with %, and then finish our single quotation. Let me get back to here. I'm gonna try this. Let me check. So over here we don't have Toy Story. Send this. We still don't have any result. Remove this. We have. Okay. Let me try to build our query. So union select. Let's try. Or maybe if we had this, and let's try like this. So now we have a result. So probably there are stuff after the query, but we need to ignore them in order to see the result. Let me try to remove this. We don't have the result. So now we're gonna say union select 1, if I type that correctly. Still no result. Let's try 2, control space, no result. 3, control space, no result. 4, control space, no results. 5. I know that's a little bit stupid, but that's what we need to deal with. So now we are by 9 fields, which probably is not the case. I believe it, at least in a CTF scenario, we won't have more than 10 fields. So I would try to remove the %, and then start declining again. Oops, I believe. So let's try again. 1, nothing. 2, nothing. 3, 4, 5. So still nothing. That's strange. Okay, here I see that the length is a little bit. So let me show you. You see the content length and how much space do we have. Once I type 6, now the content length is bigger, and now we see 2 and 3 over here. So I always like to stick with a one place to play with. So I'm gonna stick to 2, and I'm gonna search for maybe mrauto-p2. It's the only one, yep. And over here I'm gonna try to inject the stuff that are vulnerable to our database. So let's start with DB name. Let's start actually with version. Over here we can auto scroll again. So whenever we send, oops, let me check again. So it's not auto scrolling, but okay. Maybe if I tried this and send. So yeah, a little bit better. So over here we can see Microsoft or MSSQL server. So that means that we need to deal with it a little bit different than usual when we deal with the casual SQL. So we have our own functions over here. So for instance, DB name, StreamIO for the current DB used. From 1 to 4, these are the default one by the Microsoft SQL. So here we see master, tempdb, model, StreamIO, StreamIO backup, that's great, and nothing else. So let me copy this, and I'm going to paste that into here. I like to keep only the post to remember where, and the query that we have. And I like to keep post as well to remember if it is post or get. So we are doing that over here by search. SQL injection. And here I would like to add that we have StreamIO, StreamIO.backup, I believe, underscore. So that's important to keep in our notes. Over here, I believe I would just keep SQL injection, and then if I wanted to know where exactly, I would type Control F. So here we have two databases, DBs, StreamIO. I like to keep everything over here simple in order to remember the steps that I used. And yep, so we have these databases. Next, as I've told you, I like always to stick with one field. You can use both of them. For instance, type username over here and password on the third one. But I like to stick to a one because always at programming take the worst case scenario. So over here we have two braces, and I'm gonna type select string aggregation, and then type this concat, and with the concat I want to concat, oops, the name and then ID, and separate them by semicolon, and separate each identical each new name by this from I believe I need to stay within select, so concat, I believe we have one. We have missed a one bracelet. And from StreamIO dot system objects dot system objects. So you can either type dot or dbo. I prefer to keep things simple. Where type equal you. So if you are not familiar with, I cannot unfortunately make a zoom in over here, but if you are not familiar with SQL injection or MSSQL, string aggregation, you are trying to concatenate those. However, it's a little bit different by it differs a little bit by concatenation. So whenever you have a new value, you would have this to separate them, and you are retrieving this from this table where type equal you, which is type equal you, which mean the table. There are several types in MSSQL. So here we see movies and users. We have two tables. Let me copy those and paste it to here. You can copy the query that you typed over well as well, I mean, but I prefer to keep things simple for now. You can add it here and add the result beneath. So once we have the movies and values over here, next what we are going to do, I'm going to say I don't need a concat anymore. I just need the name. So please take the ID out and remove this. So we are going to take the name and separate each name from the other. But where we are going to take that? From StreamIO syscolumn where ID equal, so we don't need type equal you, where ID equals, and we have two IDs that we copied over here. I'm gonna start with users. Movies probably is gonna be the movies that we had over here, so we are not interested with that, and I'm gonna send that. So these are the columns that we have in this table in this database. So ID is a staff, password, username. I'm currently interested in username and password. ID, I don't believe it's that intriguing to me, and is staff, maybe it's a good thing if we have JWT session or token. Maybe we can play with that once we log in or sign up. Let's try for now to get the username password. So if just a very important, I'm gonna leave this here, extremely important, because I got stuck for a while before knowing this. This might not work if we created a user with SQL injection, for instance, sleep, and then we try to bring the usernames, so it gets stuck and you're gonna have errors, so it's not going to work. So now what do we need to do? I'm gonna say union select string aggregate concatenation. I'm gonna type over here concat again, let me try username, if I may type that correctly. I'm gonna close this. Then password. Then ID. Then what is staff. I just want to assure that is staff is all 1 or 0 or A or yes. However, we haven't had any results. Let me try with only 3 fields. Still not working. Maybe from. I need to change the stuff. Oopsie. Is staff from and the name of the table, which is users, and hopefully by now. So James, this is his password, I believe. Then the ID, and then the is the staff. So 1 1 1 1. Do we have 2, for instance? Then we know he is an admin. No, we don't, but we have an admin. And the ID, I believe it's useless in our case. So let me delete those. And now we have those. So we have James, his password, then separated by the all other users and the admin. I'm gonna copy this and gonna go back to here. So I have at my home retired, make directory, and this one is called StreamIO. cd into that. I got tired, and over here usernames or users.txt. Gonna paste that. We need to substitute that, so I would substitute by @s all the spaces globally by nothing. And now we have a very extremely beautiful image. Not yet, I would say, because we need to substitute as well all these by a new line globally. Now we have a very clear image. So let me cat any one of them. User. I'm gonna take this and type hash ID. This. So MD2, MD5, MD4. I believe it's an MD5. So hashcat -m0. I believe it was MD5 A0 for brute forcing. Then I believe we have the user name with it, and so the / user because we have username inside, and then user share word list roq.txt and -o to optimize. Fail to parse hashes using the native hashcat format. Let me get back. I believe we don't need this. Still running an error. Hashcat -m0. Where is our error? Ah, okay, we haven't had the file that we need to crack. Okay, so these are the passwords that we have. I'm gonna take this, or let me just show. And then I'm gonna make users pass dot text. Gonna paste that here. You can either substitute that by them, or let's try by awk because I prefer that more than them. I'm gonna say -f and single quotation brackets, then I'm gonna print 1 this, oops, if I type that correctly, 3. And this is our new output. Okay. Get users pass. So I missed that up. Let me open a new one. Home retired, StreamIO, and save that into users pass.txt. Okay, I've missed everything up. Let me try again. Here we have those. I'm gonna remove that. So now instead of using them, which I believe that was the issue, I'm gonna say cat. And over here we have user pass, and to save to users pass, cat our users pass, and yep, that's correct. Alrighty, so now after we dealt with that, I like to start with NXC. You can try with the crackmap exec as well, but I like NXC SMB. The IB dash user would be users pass, and dash p the same file, and continue on success. Okay, I believe it was like this, and we are spraying the users with the passes that we have. I'm gonna pause a little bit. So as we can see, all the users and passwords couldn't authenticate through SMB. So we need to try something else. What do we need to try? If we get back to our nodes, oops. So thanks God that we have our nodes. So we need to search for login. So we probably cannot remember that we have a login page, but since we have our nodes, then yes, I would type here we have users passes but couldn't authenticate through SMB. Trying login page. So let me go to here. And the login page with the StreamIO. So it's here. And I'm gonna turn off. So we need to enumerate this or to brute force this. You can either use burp, but it's extremely slow with intruder, and I don't really know how to do that with turbo intruder. So I'm going to use the Hydra, and I'm going to say please use, I believe it was, let me check. So dash C, capital C, and we give it the file, oops. Users pass, and then StreamIO or the domain that we have, then is form. So yeah, this is a form. So we can say HTTP post form, give it, oopsie. So login.php, we give it username, and instead of the word fuzz, we use this user, and we say our password is equal pass, like this. And let's try, we need to know if our login was successful or not. So we have login failed. Is this, can we see this in the backend? Not in the backend, over here as a field. So yeah, login failed. So I'm gonna, if it failed, then the message is going to be login. Oops, login failed. So I believe that's it. Do we need anything else? No, we don't. Yeah, we need the double quotation. We had an error. Optional parameter must start with a forward slash, maybe here. And we wait. One target completed, so 0 password found. Let me cat user passes. Alright. So where do we have our mistake? Let me try to run that again. So that's strange. Let me copy that to our notes and try to see that more precisely. So HTTP post form. Oh wait, HTTPS it should be. Maybe that's the issue. So yep, that was the issue. Always we need to remember, because we rarely do boxes with HTTPS, so that's extremely helpful. So we have this username password. I like to copy them, add them into user's pass, and I would like also to include the link. So use hide and 60 boys and girls. let me take like this, username over here, over here, save that for me, login failed. Wait, what? Ah, okay, I see. We have two dots. I didn't copy them. Let me try again. And update. So now we have another page we can log out, but I don't think there is anything. The functionality is still the same. However, as well, if we get back to our enumeration, which is extremely helpful that we've done that in this video, we've started doing that here, we see that, where are we? We are in the StreamIO. What pages do we have? We have register, which we don't need that for now. Login, we don't need that for now. Contact, and so on. And we have a directory called admin. So let's go to that. Are we signed in? Yes, we are. And over here, I'm gonna type admin. So we are in the admin panel. Voila. So now let's try again the functionality. As we can see, admin, movie, leave a message. You can as well start to enumerate all of those, but the video is already 1 hour and 6 minutes, so I'm going to drop all of them. And oops, we need to enumerate over here because here is our way in. So how to do that? There are several ways, but what I would like to do is using, let me get back into here. I'm gonna refresh and send that to repeater first of all. Let me send user. Let me send ABC. So as we see, the content length differs. And even here, the scrolling is more because we have more length, more data to scroll through. So we take that, send it to our beloved friend, type this. Over here, we can type -s, and here we type anything value. And I'm gonna keep the word list. In the word list, I'm gonna type this parameters names over here. So we have txt, which is not what we really want, and I'm gonna attack that. I'm gonna pause. So I found the result. It's still going, but we don't need that much because we found our way in. So debug, we have other content length. As you can see here, we have more. Let's check that. Debug, let me go to here. Or I'd like to take that, close this, make a new request over here, send it. And we see this option is for developers only. Okay, so since it's for developers only, let's try something interesting. Usually I like to start with it's not etc password because we are on Windows. So let me get back as much as I can, then Windows, and then win.ini. And yeah, we have an LFI over here. How can we get advantage of that? So I like to start with config.php, but without getting that much back. Do we see anything? Nah. Index, maybe. If we don't see anything as well, then I would like to add a step back. But here we see this option for developers only and an error. So index and config are within our directory, but we don't have the permission to check them, to read them. So we can use, there are several stuff that we can use in this case. Let me get back to my notes, and over here I'm going to use, open a new tab, my pen testing notes. I like, oops, if I can, web apps, and the LFI. Over here there are several types of PHP wrappers, so you can use the data or the PHP method. No, not what we are willing to use. I believe we are searching for filter dash read, so it's within here. Checking configs for wrappers, so we need to use filter read convert base64 resource and the thing that we are interested in. I'm gonna close my notes, and over here going to paste that config.php. I always like to start with config, but we see nothing. So maybe we don't have a config file over here. Maybe .ini, but I would go to index for now. So we have a 64 blob for developers only, don't copy only. I would take that, go over here, paste, or do we need, let me remove that, echo, then like this, base 64-d code, and I will call that code.php, I believe, then code.php, and here we see the code. So we have dbadmin and this password. That's great. Let me copy that. Take this and paste that into here. You can as well copy the base64 and add that to the node, but that's not preferable. You may do that if you had the CPTS exam and on 7 days you might forget where you saved a file, so you may have that in your notes. So we are checking the code very fast. We see user, staff, movie, the pages that we had, or the parameters that we had over here. And here we see if we had the debug, get the user, the staff, the movie. If we had the debug over here, show them an error when they want to reach the index. Other than that, get them the debug. Okay, that's what it. Let me go back over here. So here we see admin, logout, and that's it. However, if you can recall, I've terminated that, I believe, before it finishes, as far as I remember. So over here we have still master.php. However, I know that because I prepared that a little bit in advance. So let me check admin, master.php, and I'm gonna drop this. So we see movie management only accessible through includes. So if we type over here master.php, Let's copy that and do the same. Oops, I forgot. Like this. Echo, not echo actually. Base 64-d into master.php. So you can do the same for each page. Since we now know the name of the pages, staff, movie, but nothing interesting over there. Let me cat now the master.php, or I like to use Vim because I'm used to the shortcuts inside Vim if I need to copy something, if I need to do anything, substitute. However, here we see H1 user management, so I'm gonna search for H1s and start moving forward. So H1, here we see select all from users where it's staff equal 1. We can try SQL injection with other parameters as I've mentioned. So here movie management, staff management, user management, and so on. Let me check more. Here we are reaching the end of the file. We see the error and that's it. So only accessible through includes the stuff that we had when we tried to reach master. Here we see a while. Okay, so we see hidden user ID, submit, delete, end of the while, then over here include. If it's not index, then error, and the end of the file. All right. So we see now the source code, but we don't know where is debug. Let me search for it. It's not here. Let me check. Something strange. Let me take this again. I'm gonna send this. Let me check over here. Decode base 64. Alle akzeptieren. And I'm gonna decode that over here. So if we zoom in, I'm gonna agree, okay. Debug, nothing found. That's strange. So here we see at the end of the file, if post include not equal to index, evaluation. I like to propose that here and show that here. So if not here, yeah, is more clear. If it's not equal to index.php, then and it's a post, then use the eval file.get contents post include. So what does that mean? Let me get back to here and open my notes again. I'm gonna open a new tab, go again to LFI, and over here I'm gonna search for file get contents. So we see these are from HackTheBox. So file get contents reads file and execute remote URL, but it doesn't execute a PHP code. So we need to include that as post. So let's get back to here. I'm going to send a post. Let me change that. So it needs to be with admin, with the debug that we had, to the master.php or to any page but index, and the post should include or should have include. So over here the variable would be include equals and the HTTP our IB. And let's check over here my IB grep or IB grep tunnel 0 10.10.14.19 14.19, and I'm gonna try Nmap 4444, or let me try for now 80 and check if we get a connection. So yeah, we do. So now what do we need is a shell, and how to do that? It's extremely easy. So I'm going to make vim shell.php. I prefer to use that over here. So vim shell.php, and inside here I'm gonna type system PowerShell so on, but over here the attacker IB should be my IB 10 10 14 19, I believe it was, and 80. And in addition to that, we need to have the invoke PowerShell TCP or the con. I prefer to leave this to get back to us on 19. So what does that mean? Okay, first of all, we need sudo python 3 over here, and python 3 HTTP server over port 80 over here, then netcat over 4444 over here, and then I'm gonna move to my notes, web app, post exploitation, what do I really need? And here, as we can see, I have the script, which is invoke PowerShell TCP. You can check the source as well. You can copy that from GitHub, from my profile, custom pentest scripts, and ref shell. You copy that. You don't need to change any IB within this file. You make a new file called as it is, invoke PowerShell TCP PS1. You paste that into here. Oops. Then I'm gonna host that again. And over here, we tell that we need shell.php. So did we call that shell.php? ls. So yeah, it's called shell.php. We host that. We go over here, send this request. It's downloading shell.php. Shell.php is dealing with the invoke PowerShell TCP, is executing that, and we have the reverse shell. Always start with who am I. We are this user. I would also check ARPA, but we are not in an Active Directory machine, so it's not really important to check the ARPA. We check the netstat.ano, and here comes into the play the nodes that we have. I'm gonna close this as well, and we have these two pages, the nodes and the machine. So over here we have Nmap with all open ports. Now you start comparing open ports with the ports that you have over here. We have a huge amount of UDP. Let me check. So we lost connection. I'm gonna send a request again. We have again. So netstat NLTP. Oh, probably. Nah, netstat NLTP, that's for Linux. We need the ano. how to netstat command Windows TCP. So -a-b because it's crashing. Netstat -a b and o. Okay. Let me check. Do we have anything over here? So yeah, we can try find the string actually. Netstat -no find str TCP. And here we have the TCP connections. So we see 80, 88, 135, 389, 443, 445, and so on. And let's check. We see 1433. If we check, I'm gonna close this, open ports over here. So I have 1433, which is Microsoft SQL. So we have a port that is not shown to us over here, which is only reachable by localhost. How can we deal with the Microsoft SQL? We can try and search for SQLCMD if it's installed over here. So internal error, unspecified error. Maybe if we try to run that SQLCMD-s, we run that with localhost -u, and as far as I remember, we had dbadmin and the credentials. So here our nodes are helping us, dbadmin, and the p is our credentials. Type that. Still nothing useful. I believe that was a Linux command. SQLCMD. Nah. Then it's here. So probably I'm facing the issue because it's not an interactive shell. There are two case scenarios to deal with this. First one is to enumerate by each query by itself, or I'm gonna terminate that and get a better shell. Let me check, where am I? I'm gonna again get into netcat, but over here I'm gonna use another shell. Let me get back into here. Post exploitation. So don't get fed up with that. That's great. We need to have these issues again. Better than dealing with this at the OSCP for the first time. So we need a reverse shell, and the reverse shell we need a Windows PowerShell shell, and I'm gonna use this one for now. I'm gonna copy that. I'm gonna vim con.ps1 and paste that. You don't need to understand everything within this PowerShell code, and you can find that again at the GitHub. So how to run this? Instead of just netcat, to make it more interactive, you can use this with STTY, and I need to insert this within the shell.php. So I would make this system, make here, and close this, and semicolon, make, delete this, And over here we need to edit the IP again. 10.10.14.19 and then go to 43.19. So I'm gonna host this again. Here we have our netcat. I'm gonna send that control space, and I believe now we should have our shell, but we don't. Let me check. So 10.10.14.19, 10.10.14.19. All right. Let me check. Okay. Maybe the single quotation is the issue. Let me check. Or maybe here. Let me try without a space. Still no shell. Let me change. And go to the second single quotation. And send. Still nothing in here. Okay, let me get back to my notes. I have a PHP here, and with the PHP I have Windows. So using this, I need to copy this vim into shell.php. I'm gonna paste this into here, delete this, go into 43, change it to 19, go into 43 again, change it into 19. And hopefully by now I'm gonna get a shell. So now I'm getting a shell. Probably we had something with the quotations, single and double quotations. So I'm gonna try to be sure to include this within the notes in order not to get the same issue. Okay, so now we have, let me check, SQL CMD-S localhost-u dbadmin-b, the password that I will never be able to memorize. Get back into here. And now we had an error. Okay, let's try again, but can we? Okay, I messed up the password. So yeah, now we are in. Let's try again with the commands that we learned. So instead of semicolon, you type go. So now we are inside master. I need to select what's happening. Select db name. Let me get out. So as you can see, it's not that stable, but okay. Anyhow, select db name, go, master. Select name from sys.databases, go. So we have master, temp, model, MSDB, StreamIO, and StreamIO backup. So before we couldn't, if we tried, but we haven't, we couldn't read the StreamIO backup because we weren't an admin and we weren't reading that from the local host. So we don't have permission, but since now we are from within the local host, we can read that. So use StreamIO backup and go. Now we are inside that. Select everything from information schema.tables. So these are Microsoft SQL commands. Order by table name, ascending, and then go. So we had an error. So let me exit everything, clear. We still have over here some stuff, but what to do? SQL, and do we have, yeah. So select from information underscore schema dot tables, order by table name, ascending. Let's try without go and go on the second line. So invalid object name information schema dot tables. Okay. All right. Information. Now we type go. So we have all of this. Tables. Movies, not interested. This more like default. And here we have users. So select table name from information schema.columns where table name equals users and go. So we cannot see properly. Let's select everything from users, since everything we have over here is called users. Go, and here we have all the users and their password. So I'm gonna copy everything. And with is staff, so probably I just need to close this. I'm gonna close this, open again. db user pass.text. Paste this into here. So we need to clear this a little bit. I'm gonna delete this. So we need to deal with this junk. We had two options, or we have but we had one option that to, instead of select everything, just the username or password, or currently I'm gonna copy that because don't tell me I didn't save that. Oh, holy shit. I'm gonna copy that again. So I connected again, and I'm gonna copy this. Now I'm gonna exit and type reset over here. Vim db user pass.text, paste this, and I'm gonna substitute the space that we have with this globally. Oops, not that intended. So I believe that was the wrong regex. If we want the correct one, we need to substitute all the spaces in between, like this, with a colon globally. Now we're rocking. Hashcat, but instead of show, I'm gonna type over here db users text. Now we have some passwords. These are our passwords. Gonna copy that, paste that into here, type from db. We have all of these. Let me db final users, or just final .txt. I feel myself as a designer, and we can either use awk, or I'm just gonna do that easily manually. So either we can try that with nxc, but here with final, and final again. Didn't get anything. Or with an WinRM. Do we have WinRM in NXC? Let's check NXC WinRM. So we specify WinRM. And check. If not, then we need to authenticate through the website. Okay, so probably I'm gonna combine both of the files. So let me copy this. And what do we have here? Cat, I believe, DB users. Yep, let me. Nah, these are encrypted. I'm gonna delete that. And ls cat user pass. So let me take these. Vim into final users. Paste this into here. Do we have anything else? Cat user pass. These are encrypted. And remove French language from this. So now we have our final users. Let's try again. So I noticed a weird thing. So over here, as you can see, Burno, then the first password, then it's like combining more than a password, probably because it's thinking that the user and the pass should be twice. So let's try like this, or not like this. How can we do that? Let's check over here. Gonna open over here. SMB password spring. Okay. I believe then we need only to provide the path without anything. It's not correct. I believe, as far as I can recall, there is a mode called combo mode or combo file. Let me check. Let me check over here, combo file. No. Well, it seems to me then we need to use the cat command, then cat final users, then cut. The delimiter would be the colon, the first part, into users.txt. Then the same thing, but it's gonna be the second one into passwords. Cat users, cat passwords. Then now an XC, but not this. This. It's gonna be users and passwords. I'm gonna check with SMB at first, then with the WinRM. Gonna pause a little bit. So I was checking and it's not passwords, it used the users. So let's be sure. And we see from the first one we got them. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we got them. Over here, WinRM. Yep, it's bound. Now we can connect through WinRM. Let me take this. And thank you. Gonna add this. So this is our combo. Evil WinRM. So our machine is called StreamIO.HackTheBox -u, and the password is this. We wait a little bit. So it's connected through an SSL. Maybe that's the issue. Yes. Let's try to remove the SSL. And now we are connected because it's not secured. So I like to use this command again. Where is it? Where is it? Haven't I had the... Okay, I believe no. Then we need to get that again. The call for the reverse shell. I'm gonna make sure to copy this into here. Then 19 and 19. And I'm gonna make sure to have the SSTY as well over here. So to make things short, okay, I'm gonna move into home, retired, and the machine. Then in here I'm gonna host the HTTP server. Over here I'm gonna take the reverse shell, and in the WinRM I'm going to download that and execute it. So we downloaded that and executed that. Who am I? We are Nikki. So who am I dash priv. We don't have that. All. We don't have that privileges yet. So authenticated user, this organization, NTLM, and let's try with WinPEAS. So I'm going to close this, but I'm gonna stay here, and over here I'm gonna move to home, Windows, Win Enumeration, and I'm gonna host over this, over here, and here is going to be cert util -f -url cache http 10 10 14 19 WinPEAS x86 I believe should be over here as we.exe. Let's check. It's downloaded. So probably it should be finished by now. But maybe we lost the connection. Oops. No, we didn't. I was wrong. And I'm gonna run that and pause again. So as you can see, it's finished. I like to copy that as well. So I'm going up, Control U in Tmax with Vim shortcuts to go up. So we passed that, and I'm gonna keep that in WinPEAS. So to save time, Firefox, I believe we can notice that from here we have something related to Mozilla. So let's choose Firefox to search for Firefox. Here we see, looking for Firefox DBs, we see over here database DB, a key database, and they are suggesting for us Sharp Web. However, it's an old program, so we can use other stuff like firepwd, the one that I have over here, prepared and ready. So you can download the files either through WinRM by saying download and the file that you want, or by making smb in packet smb server and then copy that into the directory that within temp share. Let's try with the SMB. And over here, I would like to go for that file. So they are within this directory cd. So I just copy that from the values that we had from above. And what we are interested in is the copy key for db into 10, 10, 14, 19 dash temp. So we had an error, no such file or directory. Okay, gonna just make into temp and make this again. So now it's staying within there, and we need as well not only the database, we need the logins.json. So cd into temp, or I'm just gonna list temp. We have the db and json. I moved them into here where firepwd is. You can download that from GitHub, and within here you can easily run the Python 3 firepwd, and here you get some stuff. So what we are interested in are those. So we have admin, we have Nikki, we have Yoshihide. So this is our last way in. I'm gonna take that, paste that into our notes. So this is the user name jd got it, which is a strange name, and the password is more stranger than the username. So as usually, we can try with an xc, WinRM, jd got it, and the password is okay, 1, 2, 3. So thank God that we haven't searched for that before. And nah, we don't have WinRM. Let's try SMB. And no SMB as well. So we definitely know that we have over here something, but we don't know how to use that. So my best friend is always the sharp hound. I like dogs. I've never had a dog, and I probably never have, but I like them. So let's go to our hound. I would like to move into home, win exe, then sudo python over here 30, and over here let me cert util. It's gonna be sharp hound. Is it ls? So sharp hound .exe sh.exe. I'm gonna download that. It's already downloaded. Then, but why are we here? Let's move into C, users, cd into nick, and let's try to download that here. into the desktop. Actually, let's type the user before I forget and put that into here. Got our first flag. Oops. And over here, I'm gonna download again SharpHound. Then sh.exe. And over here, I'm going to prepare the in-bucket SMB server. Copy. Let me as well repeat the old copy. But instead, I'm going to copy the zip. 20. Please complete that for me. And now it's in here. So ls temp, we have a zip file, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it is here. So I need to put that into here. So copy temp 2025 into here, and then BloodHound CLI up. I'm gonna close as fast as I can. So BloodHound won't get mad at me for replacing him. Okay, healthy and starting. Let's try local host 8080 and UI login. Probably I have other boxes database. I was trying to solve a hard box, but it was extremely hard. I couldn't solve that alone. So I gave up on that and got back to the medium ones. Let's get back into here. So retired, StreamIO, the zip, upload. And I'm gonna wait a little bit. Okay. This is the last one that we had. We had as well. This is good that we started to write our notes, to take notes. Add to own. Who do we have as well? Hide and dbadmin. dbadmin, it's apparently a db. And then from within cipher, I would type shortest path from owned objects. So domain users, that's a dead end. WinRM, a dead end again. He owns core staff and he can read the LAPS password. So let's do that. So in order to do that, we're gonna copy from here. So they are telling us several stuff. So I will just copy paste the commands that we have here. So let's try and read that more accurately. So we have we own this group, and this group can read the labs password. So we can read the labs password either through NXC or through the manual way that is provided over here. I'm gonna try to show both of them. First of all, let's try to abuse this. So can we zoom in? Yes, we can. To abuse ownership of a group object, you may grant yourself the add member permission. In packet, DACL edit can be used for that purpose. Grant rights reference through the link. Then we need to use this. I'll copy paste that. So we use DACL edit, action, right member, our user, the target, StreamIO.HackTheBox. Be sure that you have that within your Etsy hosts and the user with the password. We run that and DACL modified successfully. Then after that we need to use this command and then check. So let's try that. I'm gonna copy paste that as well. So over here we're adding the group, the member JDGod to that group, and providing the creds, and then over S that over the secured, and this can verify us that he is already been added. Next, here is a cleanup. Next, we can use this. So either by BloodHound using BloodHound would give us the pass, or I believe by NXC, SMB, JDGod, maybe. I'm not completely sure. Let's check. LDAPS, NXC, and over here I'm gonna search for labs. Okay, I believe I had to use this. Still not. Ah, okay, yeah. I forgot to edit that. So this is the password, not the password 1234 or 123 that we had. So we needed to do an additional step, which I forgot due to the amount that we had in the video. So this is the real password of JDGod, and let's try just to authenticate. Yep, then labs. Well, it didn't work. That's fine. Let's try BloodHound as well again, and now we can copy this because this is the admin password, and say psexec. I don't believe the hashes. Let me search psexec. So I'm not going to use the hash. I'm going to use this administrator, and then this, and then the IB over here. CD users, CD administrator, CD desktop. Okay, so since we have labs, it's not in the administrator. it's gonna be in the next administrator user, which is Martin probably. Because in order to verify the flag, the system needs to get into the user, but LAPS solution always change the password of the admins. Then we cannot verify the flag with the flag in the database of HackTheBox. Thus, they have the flag in other administrator that has a password that is not crackable by RockU. So we type root and yep. So that was it. Thank you guys for watching, and please hit the like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment if you want anything. And let me know if you want the template or if you want any link about the script that I showed in the beginning. And have a great day. See you next time.